think we're ready to cut a big ass holes in our boat. We got our port lights and hatches delivered today. We're gonna cut them all out, do all the prep work, do all the glass work. So, time to get cutting. Here goes nothing.
Hello?
All right, today is a pretty exciting day because we get to cut 10, 7, 8, 9, 10 giant holes in the boat. Yeah, 10, because we've got our port lights and hatches delivered today. So we need to measure and mark where these are gonna go. We've got a pretty good idea, but I mean, we need to get everything perfectly aligned, and then we can start cutting holes in our boat and turning it from a cave back into a sailboat, which we're pretty excited about. The hatches and port lights we got are all from Lumar. These are their Atlantic series, the Ocean series. We like them because they are the most beefiest, thickest, most waterproofest, strongest thing that we could find. And they're kind of, in a way, sort of have a double seal because water has to get like in underneath past a lip and then to the gasket. And we can just kind of mount them quite easily on our boat. If we're like designing a boat from scratch, flush hatches are pretty cool, but they need more intricate deck work. And we're just gonna be cutting holes and installing these things. And we're really excited to finally have hatches that don't leak, because our last hatches on Uma and our last port lights were terrible. And we've corrected most of the issues that caused them to leak. And now we've got like a nice big sealed gasket, and we can cut the holes to be the right size. So when we seek these into the boat, hopefully they never leak. So yeah, we need to finish measuring and marking where we're gonna cut, and then maybe make some router templates for these so that they're exact. And then we can remove the core and epoxy things and get ready to install them. It's one of the last big projects we have to do before we can finish prepping the deck for paint. We're not actually gonna like technically install the hatches, but we're gonna cut them all out, do all the prep work, do all the glass work, and then paint the boat. And then we can install them after. So, time to get cutting. All right, we have been measuring and marking and double checking our work all day. And I think we've got a pretty good idea where we need to cut. So we've marked all the center, all the side port lights on each side. We've marked the hatches that are going forward. We may or may not try to use an actual template to router out the corners. It's gonna be difficult because there's not a whole lot of flat surfaces to like put a template on. But the radiuses are exactly the diameter of a 600 mil Sistar mixing cup, so that's convenient. But yeah, I think we're gonna kind of do the same as we did with the Dodger windows. Drill a hole, start it with the jigsaw, finish it with the saber saw, and then try to use the router to get a nice clean hole. One of the cool parts about these Atlantic port lights is that the way they work is the cutout's actually fully sealed all the way around, and then this is just like a clamp that goes through. But then the little machine screws that clamp this together don't go through the hull, if that makes sense. So you don't have to like cut a hole and then drill the holes for these and then epoxy those and seal them. It's a pretty easy install theoretically if we can get the holes to be just the right size. And then a little bit of Sikaflex goes in, and then we'll just bolt them through to the other side. And they're all like solid aluminum and solid rubber, so they're gonna do a really good job keeping water out of our boat. We did decide to go with like 3 smaller ones because one of the problems was before we had like a big giant port light on the side of the boat with very little space around it to seal it. And because the boat flexes just a little bit all the time, those leaked all the time. So we're gonna do 3 smaller ones instead of like a big one and a medium-sized one. So yeah, I think we're ready to cut a big ass holes in our boat. It's always nerve-wracking when you're cutting holes in a boat. All right.
Let's do it.
Here goes nothing. That's what we found out with the Dodger. This works okay, but it kills the blades too fast. This works better.
Cool. There's a hole in the boat. Okay. Let's see if I can route that out.
All right, so we test fit one of the 7 port lights that we're going to be installing, and it worked out okay, but it obviously made us see the need for a template, because sanding each one individually till it fits perfectly is kind of a waste of time. One of the cool parts though is that the 2 middle and the 2 aft and the port light that's going in the cockpit are all the same height. They're just different widths, so with one template we can do like one side, then slide it over a little bit and do the other side. So yeah, I just finished cutting this template and it fits perfectly. So now we can take it up to the boat and use the router, and it should go a little bit faster today. It fits like in all the directions as well. It's actually symmetrical. I just need to make the bottom of it as small as possible.
Let's see if we can do that 10 more times. I like it. The thick deck. I like it. Look, it fits.
Yeah, on the first try too.
It's almost like I've done it before. I like it.
Guys, look how bright it is in here. We've been working in this dark cave for so long that now that everything is like open, it just looks so much better, and it already looks different and so much closer to being done. Yeah, it looks really good. We have a total of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then one on top of the galley, 10. We have 10 port lights and hatches, not counting the companionway, of course. Originally, we had one up in the middle of the ceiling here, but this time around, we're going to be prioritizing putting solar panels on top, so we're not going to be putting a hatch right here. But to be perfectly honest, it's so bright, we would need it anyway. So, next step is, you can actually hear him working, but he just finished grinding around the hatches and the corridor and then the V-berth, and he's going to be building some type of pedestal so that the hatches fit on there properly. And in the meantime, I'm going to be going around and grinding off some of the balsa core around each of the port lights and hatches, because we're going to be replacing that with a little bit of epoxy so that if the hatches ever leak, which I don't foresee that happening, but if that's the case, then water's not going to seep through the core, it's just going to stop because of the epoxy. So we're going to do that. We've been doing that every time that we install hatches or anything that touches the balsa core in the boat. So that's the goal for today. But it looks really good in here. I love it. We just finished prepping all the port lights and hatches. All of the balsa core on the edges is all ground out. Then finished prepping the outside of the V-berth and head and corridor hatch. And now we're going to be epoxying the edges. So I'm just gonna wipe everything with acetone, and then we're gonna mix some epoxy. But it is getting really hot up here. I think today was like 30 degrees.
Yeah, I hope the epoxy doesn't cake.
Yeah, so we're gonna have the fan on, and hopefully this helps as well. But yeah, we're gonna, I don't know how to end this.
Let's get sticky.
Let's go.
That put my point.
Ta-da! Look, we have an escape hatch. For those of you who
We
were...
can both fit out of the escape hatch.
We can both escape at the same time.
No, these turned out great. We spent the last couple of days kind of glassing them in and grinding them down and smoothing them a little bit and then put a first coat of primer on. So they're ready to get faired and prepped with the rest of the deck now.
Yeah, it looks really good.
I like
So basically now we're done cutting big holes in our boat.
Yeah.
Aside from the through holes that we're going to be cutting underneath. But
Right, but
the
those are
deck
going to
is
be like
basically
sealed behind watertight bulkheads.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We've got like 4 holes in the cabin top. We got the mast, 2 hatches, this hatch, and then we've got 3 on each side for the port lights. That's it. Those are the only holes perforating into the top of the boat, which is awesome.
Did you mention the mast hole?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Technically, we're going to have the chain plates going through. They'll be sealed pretty well. We've also built pedestals for those, so
yeah.
that'll be a project for another day. But we've minimized a huge number of holes in our deck that have the potential to leak inside. Everything else is like in the cockpit or in the chain locker.
Yeah, and now we have a lot of more work to do on deck, like sending and fairing and sending and fairing and sending and fairing
Basically,
a
like the
billion
3
times.
weeks we spent on the hull, we now are going to be doing the same up here because
Yeah.
it all needs to get smoothed out now.
And then after that, the deck is going to be ready to be painted. Basically, we're going to bring the deck up to the level that the hull is so that
Yeah.
when we paint everything with the final coat, we can just do in one go and paint everything at once.
I'm excited for that
So,
step. That's going to be a
me too.
huge milestone in this project is when all the painting is done. Because then after that, it's basically just all systems
It's going to be
installation.
shiny stuff. We're going to put
Yeah,
the
yeah,
hatches,
yeah, yeah,
we're going
yeah.
to put the windows, we're going to put
Deck
electronics,
hardware. Yeah, it's
solar.
gonna be awesome. It's
Oh,
gonna be awesome.
so excited. So excited. But yeah, that is it for this episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. And don't forget to subscribe and give it a thumbs up. I'm going to say that because we're a YouTuber. So we are a
Alright.
YouTuber.
We're a YouTuber.
We're just one together.
That's about right.
And yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Cheers.
Can we like melt in the hole?
Oh.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh, it happened.
Ay. Bye-bye.